Stop trusting your feelings. Nobody cares how tired you felt this morning. Nobody's coming to save you because you didn't feel like it. The world doesn't reward your feelings, it rewards your actions. The people who win aren't the ones who felt like working hard. They're the ones who work hard regardless of how they felt. So if you want results, if you want to win, understand this. Your feelings don't matter, only your actions do. Discipline is the foundation upon which everything worthwhile is built. It's the thing that separates the person with ideas from the person with results. It's the thing that separates wishing from doing, dreaming from achieving, intending from creating. The truth is, you don't always want to do the things you have to do. Nobody does. The greatest athletes, entrepreneurs, writers, and leaders in history have all faced moments where every part of their body screamed to stay in bed, to skip the workout, to skip making the call, to skip putting in the hours. The difference is that when feelings said no, discipline said go. Most people operate from a place of emotion. They do things when it feels right, when the conditions feel ideal, when motivation is high. But feelings are a fickle, unreliable guide. They shift with the wind. They rise and fall based on how much sleep you got, what you had for breakfast, what someone said to you yesterday. Build a life around feelings and you'll end up in a place you never intended to be. The person with discipline understands that feelings are like weather. You acknowledge them, you respect that they exist, and then you move forward regardless. Discipline doesn't wait for permission from your emotions. It doesn't ask, "Am I in the mood?" It doesn't wait for a sign from the universe. It operates from a deeper place, a commitment you made when you were thinking clearly, when your vision was sharp, when you weren't lost in the noise of discomfort or doubt. It's the thing that allows you to get up every morning and do the work when every fiber of your being is telling you to stay in bed. It's the thing that allows you to walk into the gym when your body feels drained. It's the thing that allows you to make that sales call when your voice shakes, when you'd rather do anything else. Discipline is making a promise to yourself and keeping it, regardless of how you feel in that moment. You have to recognize that feelings will lie to you. They'll tell you that one more hour of sleep is worth it, that you can skip this one workout, that putting off the hard conversation until tomorrow is okay. But feelings don't build character, and feelings don't create results. Action does. The person who lives by discipline doesn't pretend that feelings don't matter at all. They acknowledge that feelings exist, that discomfort is real, that fear and doubt have a voice, and then they choose to act in spite of it. This is how mastery is built, not in moments of comfort, but in moments of resistance. Not when you're certain, but when you're wavering. Not when it's convenient, but when every excuse you can think of is begging to be used. You don't get closer to the person you want to be by doing what you feel like doing. You get closer by doing what you said you would do, regardless of how you feel. That is the core of discipline. It doesn't make things easy, it doesn't make discomfort disappear, and it doesn't eliminate doubt. What it does is create a bridge between intention and action, between thought and reality. It is the force that allows ordinary people to accomplish extraordinary things. It doesn't wait for permission. It doesn't ask for applause. It doesn't seek comfort. It operates quietly and relentlessly until the work is done, until the goal is met, until the result is achieved. It is the one thing that never lets you down when feelings inevitably do. Action trumps emotion every time. It doesn't matter how motivated you felt when you set the goal, how inspired you felt when you watched that video, or how hopeful you felt when you made that bold declaration. Those feelings are sparks. They're not the flame that keeps the engine running when it's dark, when it's cold, when it's hard. Too many people wait for feelings to guide their behavior, and as a result, their behavior becomes a hostage of their moods. What you feel in any given moment is irrelevant compared to what you do. Action doesn't wait for feelings to justify itself. Action doesn't seek permission from doubt or wait for fear to subside. Action doesn't ask for the ideal conditions. Action doesn't ask, "Am I ready?" It simply moves forward because it must, The person who operates this way understands that feelings are fleeting. Motivation disappears as quickly as it arrives. Confidence wavers. The voice that said you can do this one morning can just as easily whisper you're not enough the next. Action doesn't recognize that voice because it doesn't matter. This is why you can have all the passion and emotion in the world and still fail. The world doesn't reward feelings. The world doesn't acknowledge how badly you wanted it or how hard you hoped for it. The world only recognizes results, and results only come from action. The person who achieves doesn't have some secret reservoir of motivation that the rest don't. They have learned to detach action from emotion. They have learned to move when it feels like a struggle. They have learned to carry the weight when every muscle and every thought begs to put it down. Action is a decision. It's a choice that doesn't ask how you feel about making it. The alarm goes off at 5 a.m., and feelings have an opinion. The bed is warm, your body is tired, your mind is telling you that you can skip it this one time. Action doesn't ask for a consensus. Action simply puts one foot on the floor, then the other. Action is making the phone call when you're afraid of rejection. Action is putting pen to paper when doubt fills the page before you've even started. Action is showing up when no one's watching and no one's applauding. The person who operates this way understands that feelings have a place, but it's not in the driver's seat. Feelings are like the weather, unpredictable, uncontrollable, and always shifting. You can acknowledge their presence, respect that they are real, and then move past them. Action is the discipline of doing what needs to be done regardless of how strong or shallow the feelings are in the moment. You can feel tired and still work. You can feel scared and still try. You can feel doubt and still commit. You can feel like quitting and still stay in the race. The feelings don't have to win because the action can move first. Action doesn't wait for permission. It doesn't wait for a wave of motivation to carry it across the finish line. Action doesn't ask if the odds are in its favor. It simply goes. That's why, at the end of the day, the person who acts despite feelings will always beat the person who feels deeply but acts inconsistently. The world doesn't remember how you felt. The world doesn't honor your intention. The world only sees your execution. Action is the only thing that separates the person you are from the person you want to be. Results come from habits, not feelings. The person you are right now and the person you will be in a year, 5 years, 10 years, is shaped by the things you do every day when no one is watching. Not by the moments when you felt inspired. Not by the bursts of motivation that came and went. Not by the ideas you had but never acted on. What separates those who win from those who wonder is routine. It's the ritual of showing up, doing the work, regardless of how you felt that morning or how hard the wind was blowing that night. Habits are the foundation upon which outcomes are built. You don't rise to the level of your feelings, you sink to the level of your habits. You can have the best intentions in the world, write down a perfect plan, tell your friends about your big goal, and still end up nowhere if you don't have habits that carry you when the feelings fade. The person who goes to the gym every morning doesn't ask, "Do I feel like it?" They ask, "What needs to be done?" The person who writes every day doesn't wait for a lightning bolt of inspiration. They sit down and write, regardless of how inspired they feel. The truth is, feelings can't sustain you. They are too inconsistent, too unpredictable, too easily influenced by fatigue, circumstance, or emotion. Habits, on the other hand, operate on autopilot. They bypass the noise of feelings and tap into the deep well of discipline and routine. The person with strong habits doesn't have to rally themselves every morning. They don't waste energy debating between doing the thing and skipping it. The habit itself eliminates the conversation. The habit itself removes the hesitation. This is why habits matter more than feelings ever will. You can have a burning desire to lose weight, to build a business, to write a book, or to lead a team, But if that desire doesn't evolve into concrete, daily, repetitive action, it disappears. Habits anchor you. They give your days structure and your efforts momentum. They create results when your feelings aren't strong enough to carry you. The paradox is that feelings often follow habits, not the other way around. The person who chooses to run every morning doesn't always feel like running, but after a while, that choice becomes routine, and the routine reshapes the person. The person doesn't feel like working late every night until the book is done, but the routine of doing it makes it feel more natural. Habits teach your body and mind how to operate regardless of feelings, and in doing so, they create feelings that align with the result. Results aren't built by one moment of emotion. They aren't built by one night of motivation. They're built by countless moments where feelings said no, and habits said yes. Results are built by doing what must be done every day, every week, every month, every year, until it becomes second nature. The person who shows up every morning doesn't have a secret reservoir of motivation that others lack. They have built a routine so strong that feelings have no say in the matter. If you want a different outcome, you have to build a different routine. You have to create habits that operate like clockwork. You have to create a version of yourself that doesn't wait for feelings to align with action, because feelings are a luxury you can't afford. Results come from habits, and habits come from discipline. Not emotion, not motivation, not hoping or wishing. Results come when you embed the right habits deep enough that no matter how you feel, you do the work anyway. Stop negotiating with yourself. That voice in your head that tries to bargain every morning, every afternoon, every night, it's a trap. It's a conversation that will kill your momentum before it can even build. The moment you ask, should I do this? Or maybe I can skip this just once. You've lost. You've opened the door for doubt and hesitation, and once that door is open, every excuse you can imagine will flood in. The person who wins doesn't entertain that conversation. The person who wins doesn't ask if today is the day. They don't debate if the work is worth it. They just do. The biggest mistake you can make is putting feelings and negotiations between yourself and the thing that needs to be done. You don't ask if you feel like brushing your teeth, you just do it. You don't ask if you feel like putting gas in the car, you just do it. The people who win at life treat their goals and habits the same way. They don't wait for permission from their feelings. They don't try to justify their inaction. They recognize that every second spent arguing with themselves is a second wasted, a second that can't be recovered. Negotiation is the enemy of discipline. It allows comfort and laziness to speak louder than conviction and purpose. It gives you an out when what you really need is a door that locks behind you. The person who wins removes the option to walk away. They remove the luxury of saying, maybe tomorrow, or I'll do it when I feel better. They operate from a place where certain things are non-negotiable. They have decided ahead of time that this run, this workout, this call, this piece of work is going to happen, regardless of how they feel about it. Every time you entertain negotiation, you teach yourself a lesson. You teach yourself that promises can be broken, that commitments can be bent, that discipline can be overridden by emotion. The more you do this, the weaker the habit becomes, the weaker your resolve becomes, until one day you don't trust yourself to follow through. This is why the conversation needs to be eliminated. The person who wins doesn't ask for permission from themselves. They don't justify why it can wait until later. They draw a line and step across it, knowing that the moment of action doesn't require their agreement, only their obedience. The truth is, that voice of negotiation never goes away. It doesn't matter how successful you become, how many victories you stack, how strong your habits are, the voice will always whisper when you're tired, when you're stressed, when you're scared. The difference is that winners recognize it for what it is, noise. They acknowledge it, and then they silence it by acting. They don't feed it with more questions, more delays, or more justification. They kill the conversation by doing. If you want results, you have to remove negotiation from the process. You have to accept that feelings will arise: fatigue, doubt, boredom, resistance, and recognize that none of them deserve a seat at the table. You have to operate from a set of rules you don't question when you're tired, rules that govern how you show up regardless of circumstance. You have to build a character that doesn't ask if, or when, or should, but only knows now and next. That's how discipline becomes a weapon. Not because you're stronger than anyone else, not because you don't struggle, but because you've learned to stop making room for negotiation. You do what must be done when it must be done, regardless of how you feel, regardless of how tempting the alternatives might seem. Comfort is the enemy of growth. The moment you settle, the moment you seek comfort as an end in itself, you stop moving forward. Growth lives in discomfort. It lives where resistance meets effort, where doubt meets action, where fatigue meets discipline. The truth is, nothing worth having ever came from a place of comfort. You don't get stronger by doing the easy thing. You don't build character by choosing the path of least resistance. You don't evolve by repeating what you've always done and expecting a different result. People crave comfort because it feels safe, it's familiar. It doesn't demand change, doesn't ask more of you than you're willing to give. But comfort is a slow death for ambition. It whispers that you've done enough, that you can relax, that you can skip this one workout, postpone that one call, wait until next month to launch that project. It doesn't shout. It doesn't have to. Its voice is soft and tempting because it speaks to a part of you that doesn't want to struggle anymore. But every person you admire, every person who has built something worth talking about, chose discomfort. They embraced the moments when their body said no and pushed until it said yes. They walked towards the thing that scared them instead of away from it. They refused the quiet allure of comfort because they knew that nothing remarkable ever came from it. You can stay where you are, or you can evolve, but you can't do both. You can stay warm and safe, or you can step into the cold where transformation happens, but you can't have both. Comfort doesn't just kill ambition, it kills urgency. When you're comfortable, you forget why you started. You forget how quickly time slips away. You forget how short life really is. The person who chooses discomfort chooses urgency. They understand that every moment spent resting too long is a moment that could have been used to build, to create, to move closer to a version of themselves that doesn't settle. Discomfort reminds you that you're still in the fight, that you're still pressing towards a goal that demands more from you than you gave yesterday. Discomfort is a teacher. It exposes the lies you tell yourself when no one is watching. It exposes the cracks in your discipline. It exposes how badly you really want the thing you say you're chasing. It doesn't matter how good you are when it's easy. What matters is who you are when it's hard. What matters is whether you rise to the moment when every part of you is telling you to walk away, to stop, to stay down. Discomfort is the forge where character is molded, where mediocrity is burned away and replaced with strength and conviction. People run from discomfort because it's ugly, it hurts, it doesn't make for a nice picture or an easy story, but that's precisely why it works. Discomfort doesn't lie, it doesn't flatter, it doesn't give you credit for trying or tell you that you deserve rest when you've done nothing to earn it. Discomfort delivers results because it demands sacrifice. It demands that you surrender who you were for who you must become. If you want more out of life, you have to accept that comfort is a short-term reward that steals long-term growth. You have to accept that every step forward will come with resistance. Every victory will come with pain. Every level of growth will come with moments when you wonder why you started. That's the price of progress. You can pay it and rise, or you can stay comfortable and watch the years slip away. The choice is yours every day, every moment. Do the work, win the day. It's as simple and as brutal as that. Not win the year, not win the month, not win some abstract, far-off goal that lives in the land of dreams. Win today. The only thing you can control is this moment, this day, this set of hours laid out in front of you. Everything else is a mirage, an idea, a hope. The person who wins doesn't try to carry the weight of a lifetime at once. They pick up the weight of today and move it. Then they do it again tomorrow and the next day until it becomes a force of habit that can't be stopped. Winning the day means focusing on the work that needs to be done right now, regardless of how you feel about it. You don't have to feel inspired to win a day. You don't have to feel motivated or confident or strong. You just have to show up and do the work. Put one foot in front of the other. Make the call, write the page, push the weight. The person who wins doesn't wait for the mood to strike. They don't wait for conditions to be ideal. They understand that the ideal moment doesn't exist. It has to be created, earned, dragged into reality by force. Winning the day is about honoring promises you made to yourself when it was quiet, when it was clear. It's about doing the thing you said you'd do, regardless of how tempting it is to skip, postpone, or justify putting it off. It's about putting in the work when no one is watching and no one is cheering, when the only witness to your effort is you. These moments matter because they shape your character. They build the reputation you have with yourself. Every win, no matter how small, creates a record. Every loss, every compromise, every excuse leaves a mark. Winning the day doesn't require perfection. It doesn't require that every decision is ideal or every action is seamless. It only requires that you don't quit. That you don't give in to the voice that tells you to walk away, to rest too long, to save your strength for another moment that may never come. Winning the day is about persistence, about consistency, about showing up when every part of you would rather disappear. The person who understands this doesn't measure their life in huge leaps or moments of glory. They measure it in days conquered, one after another, until the victories stack like bricks and build a fortress that doubt can't penetrate. They understand that every great feat is a series of small wins, compounded. That every transformation is born from a routine that refused to break, no matter how hard the pressure. No matter how tempting the escape. Winning the day means making the choice every morning to rise and claim it, not because it's convenient, not because it feels good, not because someone is rewarding you for it. You do it because that's who you are. You do it because you've decided that the person you're building is worth more than temporary comfort, worth more than a moment of hesitation, worth more than the sting of fatigue or the weight of resistance. The person who wins the day doesn't ask if it's hard. They assume it will be. They expect the struggle, anticipate the resistance, and make peace with the discomfort long before it arrives. And when it does, they walk right into it, knowing that every step taken when it felt impossible is a step closer to the person they promised themselves they would become. Every day becomes a chance to prove it, a chance to win again.